Physiology of the endocrine system, hormones. Although a given hormone may travel throughout the body in the bloodstream, it will affect the activity only of its target cells, that is, cells with receptors for that particular hormone. Once the hormone binds to the receptor, a chain of events is initiated that leads to the target cell's response. Hormones play a critical role in the regulation of physiological processes because of the target cell response they regulate. These responses contribute to human reproduction, growth, and development of body tissues, metabolism, fluid and electrolyte balance, sleep, and many other body functions. The major hormones of the human body and their effects are identified. Types of hormones. The hormones of the human body can be divided into two major groups on the basis of their chemical structure. Hormones derived from amino acids include amines, peptides, and proteins. Those derived from lipids include steroids. These chemical groups affect a hormone's distribution, the type of receptors it binds to, and other aspects of its function. Amine hormones are amino acids with modified groups. Peptide hormones are made of short chains of linked amino acids, such as oxytocin. Protein hormones are long chains of linked amino acids, such as human growth hormone. Steroid hormones are derived from lipid cholesterol, such as testosterone and progesterone cellular structure. Amine hormones. Amine hormones are derived from the modification of amino acids and are referred to as amine hormones. Amine hormones are synthesized from the amino acids tryptophan or tyrosine. An example of a hormone derived from tryptophan is melatonin, which is secreted by the pineal gland and helps regulate circadian rhythm. Peptide and protein hormones. Whereas the amine hormones are derived from a single amino acid, peptide and protein hormones consist of multiple amino acids that link to form an amino acid chain. Examples of peptide hormones include antidiuretic hormone, or ADH, a pituitary hormone important in fluid balance. Some examples of protein hormones include growth hormone, which is produced by the pituitary gland, and follicle stimulating hormone, or FSH. FSH helps stimulate the maturation of eggs in the ovaries and sperm in the testes. Steroid hormones. The primary hormones derived from lipids are steroids. Steroid hormones are derived from the lipid cholesterol. For example, the reproductive hormones, testosterone, and the estrogens, which are produced by the gonads, testes, and ovaries, are steroid hormones. The adrenal glands produce the steroid hormone aldosterone, which is involved in osmoregulation, and cortisol, which plays a role in metabolism. Like cholesterol, steroid hormones are not soluble in water. They are hydrophobic. Because blood is water-based, lipid-derived hormones must travel to their target cell bound to a transport protein. Pathways of hormone action. The message a hormone sends is received by a hormone receptor. a protein located either inside the cell or within the cell membrane. The receptor will process the message by initiating other signaling events or cellular mechanisms that result in this target cell's response. Hormone receptors recognize molecules with specific shapes and size groups. They respond only to those hormones that are recognized. The same type of receptor may be located on cells in different body tissues and trigger somewhat different responses. Thus, the response triggered by a hormone depends not only on the hormone but also on the target cell. Once the target cell receives the hormone signal, it can respond in a variety of ways. The response may include the stimulation of protein synthesis, activation or deactivation of enzymes, alteration in the permeability of the cell membrane, altered rates of mitosis and cell growth, and stimulation of the secretion of products. Moreover, a single hormone may be capable of inducing different responses in a given cell. Factors affecting target cell response. You will recall that target cells must have receptors specific to a given hormone if that hormone is to trigger a response. But several other factors influence the target cell response. For example, the presence of a significant level of a hormone circulating in the bloodstream can cause its target cells to decrease their number of receptors for that hormone. This process is called downregulation, and it allows cells to become less reactive to the excessive hormone levels. When the level of a hormone is chronically reduced, target cells engage in upregulation to increase their numbers of receptors. This process allows cells to be more sensitive to the hormone that is present. Cells can also alter the sensitivity of their receptors themselves to various hormones. Two or more hormones can interact to affect the response of cells in a variety of ways. The three most common types of interaction are as follows. The permissive effect, in which the presence of one hormone enables another hormone to act. For example, thyroid hormones have complex permissive relationships with certain reproductive hormones. A dietary deficiency of iodine, a component of thyroid hormones, can therefore affect reproductive system development and functioning. The synergistic effect, in which two hormones with similar effects produce an amplified response. In some cases, two hormones are required for an adequate response. For example, two different reproductive hormones, FSH, or follicle stimulating hormone from the pituitary gland, and estrogens from the ovaries, are required for the maturation of female ova or egg cells. The antagonistic effect, in which two hormones have opposing effects. A familiar example is the effect of two pancreatic hormones, insulin and glucagon. Insulin increases the liver's storage of glucose as glycogen, decreasing blood glucose, whereas glucagon stimulates the breakdown of glycogen stores, increasing blood glucose. The regulation of hormone secretion. To prevent abnormal hormone levels and a potential disease state, hormone levels must be tightly controlled. The body maintains this control by balancing hormone production and degradation. Feedback loops govern the initiation and maintenance of most hormone secretion in response to various stimuli. The role of feedback loops. The contribution of feedback loops to homeostasis will only be reviewed here. Positive feedback loops are characterized by the release of additional hormone in response to an original hormone release. The release of oxytocin during childbirth is a positive feedback loop. The initial release of oxytocin begins to signal the uterine muscles to contract, which pushes the fetus toward the cervix, causing it to stretch. This, in turn, signals the pituitary gland to release more oxytocin, causing labor contraction to intensify. The release of oxytocin decreases after the birth of the child. The more common method of hormone regulation is the negative feedback loop. Negative feedback is characterized by the inhibition of further secretion of a hormone in response to adequate levels of that hormone. This allows blood levels of the hormone to be regulated within a narrow range. An example of a negative feedback loop is the release of glucocorticoid hormones from the adrenal glands as directed by the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. As glucocorticoid concentrations in the blood rise, the hypothalamus and pituitary gland reduce their signaling to the adrenal glands to prevent additional glucocorticoid secretion.